What, like have a PowerPoint? Why? I'm just gonna like drag this out as long as possible. Okay. Imagine you're surrounded by darkness, pitch black nothingness. The kind of darkness that whether you open your eyes or close them, it's exactly the same. You start to panic, running around hopelessly, trying to find some way to get out of this trap. Then suddenly, off in the distance, you see it, a light. Because it's so far away, it seems like a tiny illusion, but you have hope, so you run towards it. As you run slowly, the light gets brighter and brighter, and sounds of a sweet tune play in your ear, as if coming from this source. As you finally approach, it seems to draw in towards you. Finally, it envelops you and everything around you. The light reaches every part of your body, and even your very heart and soul. You feel warmth inside of you. It feels that there's nothing else but you in this light. The music has risen to its full volume and fills you with joy you didn't even think was possible. After spending minutes, hours, days you don't actually know, you finally come to terms with what is around you. A kingdom of beauty beyond compare. The surrounding environment is perfect, as if crafted by the most careful landscapers. As you look around, that's when you see him, a lone figure just a few yards away watching you with a smile on his face. You walk up to him and ask what this place is. He responds simply with, "The place that I have made for you and everyone else willing." You're blown away, astounded that this lone figure would make a place as wonderful as this just for you. But then you wonder, what does this figure mean by everyone else? You ask, and the man's face turns into an unhappy frown. He tells you to look around, and as you do, you start to notice something you missed initially. There are people all around, blindly walking, not knowing where they're going. You realize they're blind just as you once were, surrounded in darkness. The man asks you of one favor of you. Go and bring these people towards his light, as he himself brought you into it. But he warns you that you must never forget his light. Remember him, no matter how the darkness treats you. So you go from one person to the next, leading them to the light that you have. Sometimes it's hard as people resist or the darkness seems to have a great hold, but you never give up. And always you keep this light and the man as a reminder in your heart. God is love. We hear this time and time again, but can we fully grasp how true this is? In the previous analogy, God's love is the light. The man is God, and those who are blinded by darkness are those who have not quite found God's love and are bound in sin. When we are wandering through our years, many of us are lost in this sin, not sure where to go or what to turn to. We give in to things we don't completely know about, but even if we do realize the consequences, we sin anyways because the temptation is overpowering within us. But then one day we finally see proof of God's love. It seems small at first, but then it shows up more and more. It gradually gets bigger, and as we see it closer, we pursue it more. We focus on him and turn back against our sinful past. And then finally, when we see the full potential of God's love, we are enveloped in joy and fulfillment in him. But the catch is that he loves not only us, but also everyone else. He asks us to share his love with others. Now that we have his love, we willingly try to share it with others, and it comes easily for us. But we must never forget to show that love that he's given us back to him at all times, else we turn back to the darkness of our past. So we try to show others this love, and the thing is, many do resist. Either sin has taken too much of a hold on someone, or they are truly content with the life that they live. Maybe they are blinded by other things, such as misguided beliefs or hatred. And in truth, these different situations can bring you out of your love for God, and even develop into a hatred towards him. However, through all that we do, we must give back to God what he has given us, and try our best to always turn back around to him. We see this happen in many of our lives today. I, for one, probably like a majority of you, grew up in the church. I seemed to see and feel God's love in everything that I did, but man, was I misguided. I thought church was based off of the fun lessons of Jonah or Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that the focus of everything we believed was on the guy with the colorful jacket or a guy who could tame lions in a night. And sure, God was spoken about in every one of these stories, but that was not my focus. Then I came into middle school and something happened. In youth, I started to realize that these stories meant a lot more than just a fun tale to tell the children. These characters had faith and love for a being many of them didn't even know about. Later in the year, I went to a Bible study started by our high school seniors. These guys had something I didn't, and I did not know quite what it was. They told us to actually read the Bible. Initially, I thought this was ridiculous, but I took the challenge and read, and read, and read. From the time of the end of 8th grade all the way to the end of 9th, I had read through the Bible 5 times. I finally started to see what this was all about. Not just some fun stories to talk about that made you feel cool, but faith and love towards a being that no one can even grasp. But more importantly, a love given by this being and not even the whole world together could match. I went to a camp in the summer of 2012 called Uplift. That entire week completely turned around my life. I saw God in all that I'd never seen before. I felt the power that resounded within the auditorium as all of us joined together to praise our God. I saw people praying constantly, crying, and opening up to each other in ways that I'd never seen before. And this week, I finally saw the love of God being given to everyone, and everyone giving it right back to Him. A week later, on July 1st, I gave up my life to Christ and was baptized. My life had been turned around. I was no longer going to church to listen to stories, but to learn more about my Creator and the one who loves me more than anyone else. I was loving God through everything that I did. I turned my back on my temptations and sins. And because my eyes were on Him, I wanted to love others just as I had. I wanted to become more of a follower of Christ and loving Him through all. Now, I'm definitely not perfect, but I see His love in all that I do. And by focusing my all on His love for me, it makes it that much easier to love Him in return. Jesus says the greatest commandment is love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength. He calls us to this challenge and asks us to love God with our entire being, but to love others as well through the second greatest commandment. Imagine yourself surrounded by darkness, pitch black nothingness. There's no escape, and yet you see a light very faintly off in the distance. You run towards it, hoping that it can save you from this terrible place. As you get closer, music plays louder and louder, coming from the light itself. As you finally reach the light, it envelops you. The light brightens everything about you, and the music brings joy that nothing else can even compare to. You spend who knows how long in this state until you finally come to terms with what is around you, a dazzling landscape that can only be made by the most perfect of creators. Everything is so clear and bright that you just want to stay here forever. As you study the surrounding countryside, you notice a group of people surrounding you. It's your family, your friends, your mentors, your enemy. All of them standing there smiling at you. But the most important of all is the lone figure in the middle that just smiles at you and says, "Thank you."